you see, Jack, they landed a man on the moon about, 25 years ago now, and we were trying to establish a satellite to Dublin, and it's fallen down. Anyway.
Everybody will be sitting back there, Terry, saying, typical Irish programme, this.
They say a lot worse about this programme, Jack. Let's talk about your achievements. You reached the quarterfinals of the World Cup, which was tremendous, wonderful. And were you surprised?
No, everybody sometimes wondered about how we play and the fact that we don't play the type of game that everybody would like us to play. It's not the prettiest game in the world, but it's a very effective game played by a lot of good players. People tend to forget that we've got people who are really good players in the English Football League. And they forget about the Republic. We just reminded them a little bit.
Yeah. They do say, though, because you've got those good players, you should be allowing them to play a bit more football.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's like entering an arena. I went to watch the World Cup in Mexico, and it was like watching peas in a pod. Every team played exactly the same way. And for us to enter that arena and try and play the way they played would have been absolute nonsense, because we've got a 25-year start on us. So we invented a game that would cause them problems and make it difficult for them to play against us. In other words, we inflict our game onto people. It's true. We don't tell them, we make no bones about how we play. We just say, look, in order for it to play us, you've got to change the way you play. Yeah. And it's worked. I mean, we've had 54 internationals. I think we lost 6.
You've been in charge for 4 years now. And Ireland, as you say, are virtually impossible to beat in Dublin and pretty damn difficult to beat anywhere else. I mean, do you see that you will be ever at a point in which you will change your tactics?
Oh, yeah, I mean, things like that have to change, but you balance your team around as well on what you've got available. I mean, I've got probably 2 of the best headers of the ball in Europe, if not in the world, in Tony Cascarino and Niall Quinn. They're both big, good competitors up front. So we provide the ball for them, and we work off them. And I mean, they're very effective as players, and they make the team very effective. It's not pretty, but I mean, you can't get a ticket for a game in Dublin, so we must be pleasing somebody.
Oh, well, I mean, as I said, as I said in the introduction, you could easily have run for president, or indeed queen or king, whatever pleased you, and got the crown immediately in Ireland, even after the European Championships. Tell me about the World Cup. Did you enjoy that shootout against the Romanians?
I started smoking again. I did, by accident, absolutely by accident. I was sat watching the shootout, and actually a lot of people who saw me on the television thought that I couldn't bear to watch the penalties. This wasn't true. I was quite calm at that stage, and I was sat watching, but I couldn't see the penalties because the players were all stood up, and we were sat in the box. But there was a monitor, a big screen at the back under the stand, so it was easier for me to watch the screen and see the penalties being taken up there. And I was sat there, and when David O'Leary came to take the 5th penalty, which was the one that would put us through the next round, there's a little Italian sat through the wire. And I looked at him and said, "Hey, son, gives it tab." And he looked up at me. I mean, he didn't know a word I said, and I just said, "Gives it tab," and he went, "Oh," and he lit one and gave me it through the wire. And I stood there and I took the cig and out, and I've been backing him ever since. True. First cig I'd had for about 2 years.
Yeah. And of course, the World Cup was a field day for the press. You're a man who has a short way with the press, really. I mean, did they give you a hard time?
No, you're always frightened of the press. You're frightened of the press now. It's not like when I was a player. The press were pals of yours. They went out with you, they travelled with you, and there were press people and sports people. But now we've got news people, and the news people are what frighten you to death. They really do. I mean, any indiscretion the players would create or commit, you've got to worry about. And so you're always warning the players how their behaviour is, not to do this. Don't pose for a photograph with a girl that might appear in this newspaper or that newspaper. Be very careful. You don't break any rules, and you don't give them anything to write about, otherwise they'll destroy you. And it's a very worrying time, and over a period of 7 weeks when you've got the national press with you, just keeping the lads straight.
They gave Bobby Robson a very tough time.
Oh, dreadful. Absolutely disgraceful.
Would you ever take on the job of England manager?
No. I love the Irish job.
Supposing for one reason or another you left. Would you ever take over the England job?
No. I applied for the job once. I got asked to apply for the job. So I wrote a nice handwritten letter and sent it off to the FA applying for the job. And I never got a reply. And as it's the only job I've ever applied for in my life, I said, well, I'm not going to apply for it again. But that's the way with the England job. I mean, they already know who they want long before they do the interviews. They'll get the person they want.
What about the recent match against England in Dublin? Does that make you want to really go out and beat England?
Yes. Why? Why?
But you're English.
Well, I know I'm
there
English,
there must be divided loyalties.
No,
here.
no divided loyalties whatsoever. In football's a funny game. Football, if you can be playing for Leeds United one day, you can be transferred to Sheffield United the following day, and you suddenly you'll be a United player. They pay your wages. That's where your loyalty lies. And it's exactly the same at international level. I mean, when we play England, I am employed by the Irish to get them results and get them wins, and it's exactly what I want to do. And if we beat England, I'm delighted. Doesn't say that I don't enjoy England's other games. No, I like to see England win other games, as long as it don't interfere with the Irish.
Yeah. But you've never, in a sense, compromised the fact that you are English, have you? I mean, you complained that they didn't play the English national anthem.
I did. Now, that was a rule that was made something like 10 or 12 years ago. The Irish agreed with the English that in international matches they would only play like when we go to Wembley, they will only play the British national anthem, English national anthem, and when they come to Dublin, we would only play ours. And I was sat there watching the lads all lined up, and they played our national anthem, and everybody stood and everybody was quiet, and all the players stood there for a while waiting for the other one to be played. Nobody had told us they weren't going to play it. And when they didn't play the English national anthem, I got a bit annoyed, and I went to Joe Delaney behind and I said, what the hell's going on? Why haven't they played it? And Joe said, oh, there's a deal they made about 10 years ago. I said, well, they didn't tell me the deal, and I'm English. Yeah. So I wanted them to play it, because I think it would have been a great thing for public relations with because the Irish would have stood still and quiet and listened. They would have done that.
Well, they always
and I was
do.
sorry we didn't get the opportunity to do it.
They are great fans, the Irish.
Tremendous. They've built up over the years. I mean, they cause people now to come and visit Ireland who have never even heard of the place. I mean, the tourist board and the Irish people and the people that run the tourist board are delighted at what's happened to the national team, because it's made Ireland a place known throughout the world that maybe people who had heard of it but didn't know where it is now look at the maps and say, oh, that's where Jack Charlton's team is over there. You like the accent? What
about the Irish team not knowing the words to their own national anthem, though?
Well, that's understandable, because in Gaelic, you know. If they sent me the words in English,
I would make them learn it.
The lads would learn it and sing it. But as they don't know Gaelic. I mean, even the Irish lads can't sing their own national anthem in Gaelic half the time. That's not quite true. But, yeah, it would be nice for them to sing it. But Gaelic, no. I mean, if there's any bits of paper with Gaelic on it, I haven't got a clue.
Tell me about yourself. You've always been an extremely independent man. Now, when Middlesbrough decided they no longer were all that keen on you, you said, well, that's it, and you walked away from them. No. You've always walked away, haven't you? You've always said, look, the minute you don't want me, that's it.
No, that happened in Newcastle, but it wasn't really true at Newcastle. Middlesbrough had 4 years with him, resigned and left. They wanted me to stay. I mean, Sheffield Wednesday, they wanted me to stay.
But you've always walked away, that's what I mean.
But you see, 4 years, I felt 4 years to 5 years in the game of football is long enough. If you've done a job at a football club for more than 5 years, people start to expect things and anticipate what you're doing, and they know more about you, what you want to do than you know yourself, and they start anticipating.
But where do you get the independence? How can you be that independent, both financially and otherwise, to be able to say, well, that's it?
I've always been a good earner. No. Since I was that high, if you asked my mother, she'd tell you. I mean, I'd chop sticks, I would pinch people's cabbages and sell them around the front door. When I left school, I had 15. I had a paper round and milk round.
Yeah.
You know, I fed horses. I mean, I've always been a good earner.
Well, tell me this now. Just supposing, for one reason or another, you decided to walk away, would you take up club management again? Would you? I mean, there's a job going in Real Madrid. How would you feel like?
No, I've no ambitions to manage in Football League again. The job in English has got harder and harder and harder. I mean, contracts and agreements with players and handling agents. And I mean, when you sign a player in England now, he brings his bank manager, his accountant, his insurance man. You know, I mean, and length of contracts has become such a difficult thing. You want to sign a player, he wants a minimum, a 2-year contract for as much as he can get, because he knows he can move on after 2 years and get another killing. And it's just an impossible job. It really is. And I have no wish to become a manager of any team in the world apart from the Republic. When I finish with the Republic, that's me finished.
Well, as I said, they absolutely adore you there. And I would say rightly so. Your World Cup diary is the #1 bestseller in Ireland.
Yes. Yeah. You know, I've got to tell you. You see, when I watch your program, and people come on and advertise their book, I go, oh, not somebody advertising another book. And I'm here.
Everybody can be bought, can't they?
Advertising the Wogan, I don't feel right about it, actually. I wish you hadn't mentioned it, but it is the bestseller tonight.
Jack Charlton.